Hello and welcome back to Ralph's house. Yeah, well, as you can see, I managed to get all the carpet treads down, got all these painted. There's going to be, well, I'll leave that for a surprise and you'll see why they've been painted the way they are. But because we're into September now, aren't we? Because we're into September now, we're getting to that cold end of the year when we start to get colder weather and rain and everything else. So I'm making sure that the outside will shrug off the elements. So I've been working in the porch. A couple of weeks ago, I'm not bothering with the inside, but I treated the outside, gave it another coat, and it does make it very waterproof. I've seen it once the rain sits on it, once it's dry, and it is watertight. But above, there was a piece of perspex. Don't know the history on that, whether it ever had glass. Somehow I doubt it. Perspex is alright. But it was this sort of ribbed perspex, you know, like roofing sheet. I dare say my father cut it. Anyway, I noticed that there is some more in the garage, so I might cut a new piece for that. And like I say, I've given it a coat of saddling. Not that I'm bothered about trade names, but price for price, it wasn't too bad. It gives it that, and it's a rosewood stain, so give it an air of respectability until I can get these replaced. They are at the end of the life, and they probably want UPVC replacements, but you try and get them one that's curved like that, they're going to charge you £2 easily. Anyway, so I'm thinking, well, I'll probably get 2 to 3 years out of these if I reseal them again, which is what I'm going to do, and we'll look in the future, see what comes along. So yeah, I've got some proper door mastic to go around it and seal it all, and that should shrug off the wind and the rain and the hail for the whole of the winter with a bit of luck. And I've noticed that I've got a couple of dry days, so you know, it's not sunny, but at least it's dry, so I'll get that done before it starts to rain again in the rest of the week, get it all sealed up. Oh yes, I'm back on all of this woodwork, getting the undercoat on it and giving it a good rub down, well, light sand down, just to get a good surface so I can put my silk finish on it. Same under there, got all that. Today I'm painting along this piece. I've still got to reinstate the banisters, that's something I'm going to look at this week. But basically it's getting all this woodwork done, and that's what I should be doing today. Masking it off, painting all these, well, triangles all the way down both sides. That's the stairs all painted out. I'm going to line this with lining paper. I think it will go with that, and I think it will hide it. Lining paper is pretty good, and then therefore I can paint that the same colour as the walls then, which is going to be this colour. Yeah, fairly vibrant, isn't it? It's called Chelsea. I went through about 3 different shades and put them out on Facebook, see what other people thought, and they all agreed with me. Go for that Chelsea red, which is what I'm going to do. Really, this red's more a background than anything else, but I did want to make this hallway warmer because I've got 2 1930s clamshell wall lights to go on either side of the front door, and they will look pretty spectacular on that red, I think. And still not worked out on the hallway. It's sort of crying out for black and white tiles, isn't it? Don't know, haven't committed myself. But certainly in short term I'm going to put down some temporary carpet. I have got to lift a board across there, and that's to take the power from the downstairs from the consumer unit, fuse box. If you remember rightly, it's under these stairs, and because the stair lift needs a socket, that seems a prudent place to start. So I run the first socket there, and then go across and on round. I may even put the stair lift on its own power supply actually, so I might be running 2 cables out. But then I shall go across. I may put a socket in the hallway. I know people put them in for hoovers, but I don't know. Yeah, perhaps I will. Perhaps I'll put one socket in there, because the one for this stair lift is pretty inaccessible. Once the stair lift's in, you wouldn't want to be trying to squeeze under that to plug something in. So I'll get a socket here, and then I can start running the power supply for the ground floor round in the front room, into the back room, and into the kitchen. At the moment the kitchen is on a temporary supply, which works very well, but it doesn't look pretty, so that will all have to be done at the same time, I guess. But the main thing is to get this hallway finished now, and the landing, and start work on the front room. Yeah, there's just no easy way to do this. You've just got to tackle an area at a time, and I think myself I'll feel happier when this stairs and hallway is done, because at least if anybody comes in it looks reasonably respectable, even if the other 2 floors on the ground floor are in builder's heaven. Yes, it's time for Ralph's Gadgets. As I've got older, my eyesight is not what it was, and you're thinking, oh, what are these? Yeah, well, they are magnifying glasses, and they work extremely well. They come with, well, mine came with 4 sets of lenses, but I think you can buy some with many sets of lenses. Anyway, only cost me £8. And when you're trying to work on something that's fiddly, like a key fob, trying to get the screw out or whatever, like I say, at 61, it's not so easy to see really tiny stuff. And actually, even if you've got good eyesight, sometimes you need something a little stronger. These are pretty good. £8, and you get 2 little lights each side. They look a bit blue on camera, but they're just bright. But I have found that when I'm working on really small stuff, no problem with those. Well worth keeping a pair in the drawer for those little jobs that you come across and think, crikey, these glasses aren't strong enough. Even reading glasses times 3 aren't good enough sometimes. And even if you've got really good eyesight, like I say, great things to have. And on to gadget number 2. No, it's not hair curlers or hair straighteners. I bought this actually before the lockdown. I forget how much it was. It wasn't an awful lot of money. And there's a lot of rogue ones about, so you've got to be careful of this. Let me show you. You see that? That is a UV bulb. And the great thing about this, it's very clever. Hold it on. Yeah, that's the UV light on. You just hold it a centimetre from whatever surface you want to decontaminate. Keyboards are great for this. And that's it, it's sanitised. It kills everything. And you can't, because UV light is dangerous to you, if you flip it over it'll turn itself off. Aha! Good, eh? Yeah. So, great thing to have. You can get these huge UV bulbs. You just plug them into a room and then shut the door, but trust me, you'll get sunburn off one of those very quickly, and you would off this if you held it over your hand long enough, and you won't feel the heat, but well, you will get sunburn a lot later on. Yeah, gadget number 2. Yeah, back to this porch door. There's no permanent fix for this because, like I say, it's these storm doors are well past their sell-by date. But what I have done, cut a semicircular piece of that corrugated roofing plastic, masticed it in so it doesn't leak, and that should do the job. Well, it looks alright from the outside. And there's Phil cutting his hedge. He likes very neat edges, does Phil. You can't fault it. You can't fault him on his edges.
I'm trying to get my way through the hedge so I can get to Ralph's house.
Coca-Cola. Just put a little bit of olive oil in the pan with some red onions and a little black pepper, not too much, until they've softened up. Added my mince and swirled it around for a little while, and I'll set that to cool now. And in this saucepan we have rice and a lot of this turmeric. Extremely good for you. Wards off Alzheimer's and various other things apparently. Anyway, I do use it a lot. And for the oil, for the onions and mint, olive oil, always olive oil. That again is better for you than most of the others. But like everything at Ralph's house, not everything is finished, and the kitchen certainly isn't. And I'm on a 2-ring burner, but we manage fine. I've got an oven as well, and to be honest, I rarely use more than 2 rings, even when I had a 4-ring cooker. So this does very well. So I should just cook the rice, drain it off if it needs it. It probably won't, it'll probably absorb all this moisture. And I have to say, this is my son's favourite meal. He absolutely loves this, and it's easy to make. There you go. Just fry off some onions. Red onions are best, leave them quite chunky, gives the thing a bit of texture. Add your mince till that's nicely brown. Take it off the heat, and while you've been doing that, you'll be boiling your rice with, like I said, plenty of that. Good for you. So that's lunch at Ralph's house. Cookery Corner. Wednesday evening. You see that fella? He's alive. He won't move, and I need him to move because I'm trying to strip paper off here. But occasionally you come across a job which is tougher than you expected. I think this has had a couple of layers of lining paper on it, and honestly this is the only way I can make any progress with it. Slipping a sharp knife, gosh, it's tedious, and unfortunately I've got a lot of it to do. Yeah, I could have just painted over this, but unfortunately what's happened over the years is that lots of people have done that because they didn't want to tackle this job, and I really want a flat ceiling, so it's got to come off, and then it will be lined with fresh lining paper, and we can get that done. But I'm just doing this in the evenings, kind of to occupy my mind, you know, stripping paper. And you know, I tend to do this till about 11:30 at night, and then call it a day. You see this dimpled glass? That's been there since the house was built. It's not the prettiest glass. Anyway, we're going to, at some point this week or next, order a new pane of glass for that. Take the trim off on the other side so I can get it out. Put some clear glass in it, and I shall put some of that vinyl film with a sort of stained glass type stuff in it, so I can let a bit of colour in on this landing. It'd be quite nice. Yeah, so that's Wednesday evening. I'm busy painting this newel post today. Needs doing. This handrail, it's obviously got to be the same colour as that when we're finished. Got to go around with a very fine brush to get a, you know, defined line. But more fundamentally, although there are spindles going down the stairs, there are none here. And there are none here because my father built a bookcase here, which was alright, but it did cut down a lot of the light, and I didn't want a bookcase. So I'm now left with a situation where I've got no spindles at all. I mean, think about what I'm going to do, you know. Looked online for spindles, they're horrendously expensive. So I thought, well, they're only square section, and I found some chunky timber in my father's garage, which is a little bit thick. It's like 2 planks. They're thick as 2 planks. They're a little bit thick for the job, but I thought what I'll do is I'll run them through the circular saw at the right width, which with these it's just over 1 inch actually, 1 inch and a fraction. Could do it 1 inch, but no, doing the same. So I'm going to run those through the circular saw in the morning and see if I can make up enough spindles to do this top landing. Should be able to. I think there's enough timber there, but we will see in the morning. Yeah, this is the top of the garage. Some of it isn't suitable. There's all kind of things, plastic trims. They're always useful for things, aren't they? Edging things. Yeah, I've already fetched out 2 thick bits of timber, which I'll show you in a minute. But there's also this one, which again, it's a long length. It's too thick, but if I run that through the circular saw, that would give me some extra spindles if I was short, so there should be enough here. What else we got? Oh, that's UPVC. Yeah, that's a little too thin. That's less than an inch. That wouldn't be any good. Oh, some curved profile stuff. If you know the sort of stuff I mean. It's got a concave profile on it. Yeah, might be alright. Yeah, it's various bits. And more of these shelving brackets. There's some more timber there. That's over an inch thick. So, again, if I needed to, I could make spindles out of that. But I want to try and keep a couple of big boards. Mostly for when I'm working on the landing. And right down here we've got, I don't know, is that a sheet of plastic at the back? Probably. And some smaller bits of timber. Which it's surprising asking what have we got up here? Yeah, I think that's thinner stuff. Yeah, it's mostly ply, little strips of ply. See, my dad used to make a lot of his own magic tricks. And he liked working with wood. I wouldn't say he was the world's greatest at it, but he made a pretty good job of it. And that, strangely enough, if he made very small things, you know, small tricks and things like that, he'd spend an awful lot of time on it and get a fantastic finish on it. You know, as good as any professional prop, if not better. It was the larger stuff I think he struggled with a bit. Partly that and partly his age. What have we got over here? Yeah, it's less than an inch. Angle piece. Yeah. Worth noting what I've got in here. Some bamboo sticks, mind you, I'm not short of those. Oh yeah, and I put this up there. It's a drawer front, but it's hardwood. You know, a piece of hardwood that size, that goes to there, that cost you a few quid. Might find a use for it. Some more square profile, but that's ½ inch. Very small stuff. And then, yeah. So, I'll just show you the bits that I brought out. Well, just before I do though, on my way out, I've noticed I've got a lot of this is plastic netting. This is going to be absolutely perfect for covering over the pond in the winter. I should just put some, actually bamboo may do it, just so it stretches across and the netting's tied to that. And that will cover my pond. Because in the winter, your biggest threat to a pond is herons, because their food source dries up effectively. And ponds are very easy picking for herons. They're not always easy to spot, but sometimes you'll see them standing on chimney pots. They're just waiting for the opportunity. So, yeah, the temperature's starting to drop now. It's not quite ready, but sometime around this month, about September, the temperature in the water will drop to about 50 degrees. The fish will sink to the bottom, and that's it. They won't do much till May. You can give them the very odd occasional feed, but yeah, you stop feeding them in September. And then once the water warms up again in the spring, they become active and on the hunt for food again. But important to protect them. So yeah, this netting will come in handy. Actually, there's way too much. I don't know what I'd use all that for, but anyway, quite a valuable roll of netting, isn't it? Yeah, just thought I'd show you that. That looks good enough. There we go, perfect. 27mm. Get those sanded down, cut up into 3, more than enough. And if I'm short, I've got another length in the garage anyway. So that's that job sorted. When my father lived here, he was an avid reader, you know. It took a long time. Well, not too long, but it took long enough sorting out his books. Oh, it was probably in excess of 3,000 on them. And not much that I would read. I was not a big poetry reader, he was. So I boxed up all those for a young lady who was a poet herself and loves reading poetry. So I think she'll get the most out of that. But these little books is like a Ladybird book of knots. Simple book, but you know, to be honest, what else do you need if you want to learn knots? Great book. Another one called How to Do It, Metalwork. I've not actually opened this one. Might be a bit too simplistic. Oh well, no, it's got metals and their properties. Might be useful to me lad actually, while he's at engineering college. A book on Keaton. Buster Keaton's always my favourite, I think, from the silent era. More so than Chaplin or... yes, I like Lauren Hardy, of course. But Keaton was for visual gags. He was the master of that, I think. Yep. And this I'll set aside as well. The Book of Comic and Dramatic Monologues. Could be good. And a couple of books on Harold Lloyd. So on Harold Lloyd. He did make me laugh, I must admit. And another book, hoping to read at some point, is that one. John Pertwee. Well liked as Wurzel, and of course in the Doctor Who. But he did lots and lots of things before that, including the Navy lark. He'd been in the business a long time, so yeah, that would be an interesting book to read when I've got nothing else to do. Just in the middle of editing a video actually, but I'm going to nip out and get a sink. I've just seen on Facebook Marketplace a double drainer stainless one. Looks pretty good. 20 quid. That will do for my kitchen because the one I've got is rather small, and there's enough room to put a slightly bigger one in, so I'll be picking that up today. Yeah, so I've just picked that up. That's alright for 20 quid. Can't moan at that. Double drainer. Quite clean. Nice taps on it. Yeah, so that's it from Ralph's house today. Look out for the next one, which I think is 110, possibly, yeah. Remember, thumbs up, thumbs down. I know I've rambled a bit in this one. It's not an instructional video. I'm just keeping you posted on how things are going on a very limited budget. That's it. See you next time. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.